That's on. Say something. Blah, 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 blah. Should do it now. Odometer. What about now, KZ?
Aw.
I hope it works. There it is. All right, we are up. We are running.
You can hear us?
I want to centralize the mic.
Say 22.
They can hear us. So we're leaving the. Are y'all ever gonna react to Meshuggah? We've already reacted to Meshuggah.
Yeah.
But yes, we are gonna react to
more
Meshuggah in the future. Watch all.
There you go, Dan. You're up.
How many videos do you have up? If you don't react to more Winter Sun, more angels will die. Please think of the angels. That was funny.
Okay.
That was funny.
Like, if we want to keep it in, can you push down?
Keep what in?
Like, I moved the screen so that way we'd have our nice backdrop. But if you can just push over, just go that way, sir. Like move. I think that should accomplish what we need.
You have 2 videos? We do 2 videos in a day, sir.
What about Unleash the Archers?
When are you going to introduce her to Adidas by Korn? It's a good question. Nobody asked for that song, so.
That's true. I've never seen that one asked for. Who sucks? Korn?
Unleash the Archers.
Oh.
That's the last one you said, so.
That's true. Yeah, but you said Adidas Korn after that. Look, Crazy John. Sori's pushing Vin around. How dare she? He's a big man. They could handle it. He said it was that Korn Adidas was a joke, but he said it would be interesting.
It would be.
Would it?
Watch all.
Would I like it?
All. I'm sure you'd like it a lot. I'm sure you would like it a ton. Does anybody get notifications that we're posting stuff? What?
Dan, his has 33 edits per minute.
What has 33 edits per minute?
His videos. He edits 33 times in 1 minute. LOL, my last one was 35 minutes of footage pared down to 8 minutes.
What's up, Nexus Media? Love the dissection review. I'm glad. Yeah, that dissection review. It seemed like we got a ton of street cred.
Is it dissection or dissection?
Dissection, dissection, tomato.
You going up?
I'm going to try to go up here because right now we're at
720?
240.
Oh, we're at 240?
So I'm going to try to go to 480.
Ooh.
There we go. Corn Blind, Woodstock 99. That's a historic song. For sure. Pantera is the best.
Is anyone else getting audio on right headphone? Let the man know if you are.
Yeah, hating. We're getting closer and closer to Between the Beard and Me. It's a risk. We're probably gonna dive into it at some point.
Dive into what?
Between the Beard and Me.
Oh.
Just came across your channel a couple weeks ago. I must say I enjoy your content immensely. You guys are honestly amazing. Keep up the fantastic work. Thank you so very kindly. I appreciate you. What's up, Eric? Where's Pony and her crew? Whoa, Mandy, that's a pretty high...
High honor.
Yeah, it's really crazy to me when people say that we're their favorites. There's so many YouTubers out there that are doing like really good shit. And then...
You'd be my favorite too.
Huh?
I said you'd be my favorite too.
I don't think you'd be my favorite YouTuber.
No, I wouldn't be. I don't have an interesting
Jordan Peterson would be my favorite YouTuber.
Yep.
You'd be the prettiest one. I'd be like, hey. Sori, talk to me.
That's what you do on the thing.
I'd freak out.
Hey, hey, sorry.
Up, there's number one. What do you mean when you say that you think that the Roman gods are real? I knew somebody was going to ask me that question. Dun, dun, dun. Favorite Tool record. My favorite Tool record is Lateralis. It's the only one we've heard. We're doing a Tool review of...
Somebody else is saying the mic is messed up, only on the left. Did one of these things get moved? I don't know what that's supposed to be said on. Yes, we drink beer. Why, you want to take us out for a beer? If we ever up in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, Marshy said he was going to take us out to some beer for some beer.
He did?
Yeah.
I thought he told us we should go.
No, he said if he's ever around.
He did?
Dude, that Jordan Peterson interview with Joe Rogan was awesome. He does lots of them. He does lots of them. Fixed. Yes, I just put it on mono instead of 2-track.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Sweet.
Walaikum assalam, Mr. Blazing Heat. Today's the day you announce to everyone that Pantera is the greatest band ever.
That's what we were about to say.
Yeah.
Literally at the tip of my tongue. Then I started eating this York peppermint patty, and that was it.
Yeah, I just went to take a shower, and I come back, and there's all this junk food on the table.
I took off out of the house wicked fast because I wanted to get back for this fireside. Vin was in the shower. So I bolted out the front door. The neighbor was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I just want chocolate and ice cream."
Yeah, Zeus. Hey, it's Zeus. One of my favorites. Yeah, the Jolly song was kind of heavy in a strange way. I can't really put my finger on it. Can't put my finger on the Jolly song, but yeah, it's definitely moving. Leah goes, "Hi, Vin and Sori. MAGA. Make America great again."
Oh.
What is your opinion on the Gospels not in the Bible, like Judas? Those were Gnostic Gospels, and obviously they were much later than the standard Gospels, and they deviate very clearly from early Christian thought. So I think they're interesting because it shows what the Gnostics believed at the time. But yeah, they're very interesting, for sure.
Oh, you brushed your hair.
I sent you a Facebook message about this, but I wanted to tell you that you're totally right in your analysis of ginger. I speak astronomy. You're pretty amazing at this stuff.
You know what's funny? Brian's message caught my eye as well, and I read the whole thing.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I wonder what makes certain people's messages pop out.
I have no idea.
Sovereignty.
Whoa. Oh, well, thanks. Thanks, Brian. Sometimes we're lucky guesses. Sometimes we're like completely off by millions of miles, like the Cry Little Sister one, where people are like, "That has nothing to do with incest. It's about vampires." and I'm like, well, I'm still not very convinced. So
I had a feeling you weren't convinced because you didn't say it.
Yeah.
Mandy, LOL, my woman just got back from the store and bought me a Hershey bar. I got these for Vim. And I got these for me.
I think... Hi there, guy. Oh, the new Sith blog. First time I've caught you live. Nice to see you again. Hey, that's my big homie that we had that I had that conversation with, a 2-hour discussion on problem of evil and all that stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like that's happened twice. Is that the one from like the Russia area, or is that the one that was like a pastor's kid or something?
Yeah, that was a PK. Yeah. LeBron is a bum. Celtics are winning the chip. You're wrong about that. Hail El Varon. How do you think he did against Matt Dillahunty? I think he failed big time when he tried to say atheists were murderers and that Matt wasn't really an atheist. I think a lot of people misunderstand what Peterson was trying to get at. And I don't think Peterson was able to, because he doesn't want to say that there's an ontological reality that we call God out there. So because of that, his argument kind of breaks down a little bit. But I don't think he was saying all true atheists are murderers. I think what he was saying is very similar to what I said in the debate last week, which was if you're totally and truly atheistic and naturalistic, and there is no difference between a twig and a human being as far as value goes, in that both the twig and the human being are worth the same thing, which is nothing, then you do not have an objective basis by which to say that an act like murder is wrong. And when Jordan Peterson says that Sam Harris and Matt Dillahunty are not really atheists, I think what he's saying is you're not living consistent. For you to have such a developed moral compass is much closer to a Judeo-Christian than an actual pure atheist. And so when I was talking to Aaron Ra, I brought up Bertrand Russell because I wanted to have a conversation about how morality works from a completely atheistic perspective. But Aaron Ra hadn't read any Russell, so I wasn't able to have that conversation. And that's actually one of the things that I found about a lot of new atheists, is that they're not very well read and this is an observation, it's not so much a criticism, although it could be a criticism. They're not very well read in the sort of giants of the thought process, because there are lots of people, atheism was around before Dawkins and Harris. And so there are a lot of very smart, extremely intelligent individuals that have thought through the ramifications of atheism and put them to paper. And so I think that was Peterson's criticism. Of course, in the midst of a jihad like that in public, there's a lot of pressure to answer quickly, and so instead of pulling back and like thinking through the ramifications of somebody's criticism of your position, you have to answer quickly, and you have to add charisma and all this, and you don't really get to stop and think about what's being said or what the other person's saying to you. I mean, we experienced this last week where my debate partner was saying, "Oh, I didn't think about that," or "Oh, you made me change my mind here," and people were saying, "You were unprepared," and blah 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 blah, because a lot of these discussions are an exercise in ego and not necessarily exercises in trying to find out the truth. So so scroll up. I think, who asked that question? Hey, it's the big homie Alec.
Wait till tomorrow. You're gonna be on our
marshmallow. Why would you give that away like that?
What?
You just give stuff away.
Aw, there you go.
So I don't know if that answered your question. Who asked that question, by the way? Where's Chip been? Oh.
Chip's on the desk.
Chip's on the desk.
Oh, hey, Pony. Hey, that art was the shit. You did good. I'm like super anxious to send it to her, but I want to send it to her when she's going to actually be awake, so.
Ted Nugent is a weak sauce fool.
Oh,
okay. Vin needs to be a preacher. I would be a terrible preacher.
I don't know. I think you'd be pretty good.
Everybody questioned, copied and pasted their... No, I have not seen The Man from Earth. I would like to watch it. Is it fun?
Is it scary?
See, there's Zeus. Atheism
kids.
Atheism has nothing to do with morality. Humanism does, and most atheists I've met and heard from are humanist. It's a very strange phenomenon to me where I hear people say atheism has nothing to do with morality. Because what we're saying is that there are implications to the question of morality if you say that there is no divine being. Either way,
right.
That's like saying Christianity has nothing to do with morality.
Right.
Well, Christianity is the idea that Jesus died for your sins and rose again and he's coming back. Should I say that has nothing to do with morality? Well, no, there are moral implications to that view.
Right.
So,
of course.
Okay, I feel like it's just like
why do they say it has no?
I have no idea. I don't know, but I think they're trying to find some way to divorce themselves from atheistic atrocities that have happened throughout the world, which
yeah.
to me is just disingenuous. I never understood that as a real argument.
Yao Tasco, whatever I know you made up your name, so we can pronounce it any way we want. Literally, every time I see your little icon thing, I'm like, hey, the guy that got us to like Judas Priest, because he's the one that had suggested Angel to us.
What is your view on secularism? All faiths welcome under strict separation of church and state on all matters. I think that's a very. I think that view discounts the idea or doesn't consider the fact that secular humanism is a form of a belief system. So like, people, and that's one of the things that I tried to like bring forth in the debate last week was people will criticize, Christianity or even Islam. They'll say Islam wants Sharia, Christianity wants to enforce their beliefs on the world. Mm-hmm. So do atheists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They want to tell people who can bake which cake and which, like, so everybody wants to enforce their given belief system on the world because everybody believes that their belief system is the best. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, if you think that your system of belief and action is the best for the world, of course you want to enforce it to some degree.
And people get like really crazy when you have your own ideas that you're trying to promote and it goes against their ideas. They suddenly become very violent even. Like, remember those experiences we'd have on that sidewalk?
Oh, of course.
Of
course. Give me the definition of atheism. Atheism is a lack of belief in God or gods. Zeus. But that immediately has moral implications. So, I don't see the point. What if you think all belief systems are BS? Well, Tasco, everybody has a system of belief. Otherwise, you can't function in the world. You believe something. Sharia simply means the law in Arabic. Yeah, I agree. I'm a student of Islam, so I know what that means. And there are aspects of Sharia that none of us have a problem with. For example, stealing. Sure, that's banned under the Sharia. I think that's a good law. So, I don't know.
How long do we plan on being on? An hour, maybe 2 hours. Tough telling, not knowing. We just kind of go with the conversation and then, usually we cap it at 2 hours usually, but. Do you agree on dinosaurs yet?
Hello from Sweden. We got a lot of Swedish folks here.
I know.
What's the appeal? Why do Swedish folks like us so much?
I know. Do you ever sit down and write riffs or anything with your guitar? He doesn't write them. He sits down and just starts playing them. Like out of nowhere. I'll be like, whoa, that's good. Where's that one from? He'll be like, oh, I just made it up.
Well, that's writing. I mean, everybody write.
Well, I didn't know if you want to write it down. And then he'll forget about it. Like, epic shit. He'll just forget. And then move on to the next one. I'll be like, what was that? So if I hear something and I want it, I got to put out a recorder or else I'll just there's so much new stuff coming to his head all the time. Like, if I made up one of those things, I would be like, everyone. I would make sure I didn't forget it.
You're trying to move the burden of proof on atheists. We cannot disprove an infallible null hypothesis. You must first prove that morality is derived from supernatural deities, not vice versa. Well, that wasn't the question I was asking. I don't need to prove that morality comes from anywhere. What I'm saying is, let's live in your world and say that there's no God. Do you want to live in that world? And do you want to deal with the implications of that?
I was going to say the implications of that, yeah.
That was the entire point of the debate last week. I think any honest person knows that there are objective realities by which good people are beholden to. And I think everybody knows. I was talking to somebody and they're like, there's some really fucked up shit in the Bible. There is no God. And I said, well, what's fucked up about it? And he goes, just bad shit was happening. And I said, well, who determines what fucked up is? And he goes, we do. And I said, who's we? Because as I demonstrated very clearly last week, we don't all have
the same moral
we don't all have
compass.
My contention is we all have the same moral compass. We just don't follow it. And there are different societies that determine how they're going to ignore certain moral compasses. So, it's not on me to prove anything. I think that, all of us agree that morality exists. And the question I always ask atheists is, okay, well, let's say there's no God. How do you keep the Holocaust from not happening? Mm-hmm. Or how do you keep experimentation on human populace from not happening? Or how do you avoid the bad version of eugenics in an objective level from an atheistic perspective? And I think, we just watched the debate last week and see how that turns out.
When you say we, does that mean society or does that mean an individual? Or do you mean both?
Well, yeah, I think from an individual perspective as well as societies. I usually go to the societal level because history is littered up to the modern day with whole societies agreeing on some morally evil things. So people try to say, oh, we all collect. There's this idea that because we want to progenate the species, we're all going to come together and cooperate because that's the best way to fulfill, whatever. But human history isn't that way. And there's a lot of things that can propagate the species that there's a lot of places that we don't want to go for the good of the species. Like, for example, experimenting on people, eugenics, that would benefit our species greatly. And we don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. So, that's kind of where I go. Holocaust is inducted maybe by Roman Catholics and Lutherans. Ask them why their moral compass allowed that. Well, that's my point. That's my point. Alec, surely, I don't know if you've read Mein Kampf, but Hitler was the last person that you could consider an Orthodox Roman Catholic. There's nothing in biblical theology, especially New Testament theology, that leads a person to commit the atrocities that Hitler committed. I do think, though, that Hitler understood that unless he couched his movement in religious terms, that he wasn't going to get the populace to go along with him. But there was a heavy Darwinian strain in Nazi ideology. That's a fact.
Right.
I don't think anybody is. I don't think anybody can contest that. Alec, if you want to get on the phone and we can have this discussion,
Ooh.
Let's do it. But I the idea that we're gonna take people and run experiments on them, human experiments on them, to see, what's gonna happen, is you can't justify that from a New Testament perspective.
Somebody had said back up here, basically that they hope that God is right there. I really hope there's a kind God, though. Your version of God. It's very kind. Is Alec still on here? Does Alec want to do that?
We'll see. There's 135 people in the chat, so I don't think that we're going to be able to see exactly what he's saying. There's Tosco. Nazi ideology equals false Darwinism. Well, who are you to say it's false Darwinism? It's still Darwinism.
Who's this? He keeps saying I'm ready to talk about it. Eric?
Oh, well, call us up, Eric, and we'll talk about it.
How did you do that before? How did you had him email us? Right?
Morality is a culmination of human social biology, neurochemistry, moral philosophy, social conditioning, and various other causes, much more complex than derived by a book or one simple ideology.
Eric, email us, vinandsori.com.
Well, sure, Alec, but at the end of the day, when you talk about moral philosophy and social conditioning, there was a moral philosophy and social conditioning in the antebellum South as regard to black people. There's moral philosophy and conditioning in Nazi Germany. There's moral philosophy and conditioning, social conditioning in communist atheist Russia. My whole point about the morality discussion and that Jordan Peterson was saying is, from an atheistic perspective, there is literally no way to objectively establish morality. A lot of times in the past when I've debated atheists, they've said, no, there's no such thing as objective morality. It's just that hopefully the good guys are stronger than the bad guys, and then we can stop them from doing evil shit. Of course, they have no definition for what a good guy is either. And that's all Peterson is saying. Peterson is not saying that all atheists are murderers or something like that. All he's saying is you have no objective basis by which to say murder is wrong. That's
Right.
all he's saying.
Right.
Well, I know that, Tumba, but what does that have to do with this discussion? What do you think of the word supernatural and superstitious? Still waiting. I think supernatural is a word that we use to describe realities outside of the physical universe. That, from my opinion, must have been there if there is such a thing as a physical universe. Sure, Alec. Religions became obsolete. You guys are having a hard time to let go. Well, when did religion become obsolete, Eric? I'd like to know. Yeah, I think superstitious is, a term to use to describe ignorant people who hold beliefs about the supernatural world that may not be true. But the fact that there are ignorant people that hold to untrue thoughts about the supernatural doesn't mean the supernatural doesn't exist. Much the same like people who hold to bad mathematical equations don't disprove the reality that math exists. Invader Zim! I love Invader Zim.
So you got one person here who wants to chat.
I registered to our discussion. I lost. I don't know what you mean by registered to our discussion. Because, Tumba, history is littered with the fact that we're not empathetic universally to our fellow man. I mean, I'm talking about the people in this room. I'm talking about myself. All of us know that there's a bunch of people starving in Africa somewhere. And not many of us are actually doing anything about it. So I'm talking about us. I'm not talking about like people out there. I think the empathy argument is crazy. I don't see a lot of empathy in human beings. That's why a lot of religions have to make it a law to give to poor people. Think about that. You wouldn't need a law to give to poor people if empathy was natural. True. You wouldn't need socialism either. And I'm not against socialism per se. But you wouldn't, there's a biblical principle that states that the law is for the lawless, right? And so you can tell what type of society you're in by what type of laws there are, right? And so like, a lot of the Western world are socialist, and I think that's probably right, so that we can make sure that we're taking care of people in a less fortunate situation than us. But that's codified into law because that's not something we would naturally do with our capital. I think that's important. I think it's important to consider.
Okay, so you have two people that said that they'd call in.
Well, good. Get him on the phone. Give him my number.
I got one right here.
Text him.
I just have to call it. Call it.
What's Refused? Is that a band? Anything on Flat Earth? I don't I don't think that the world is flat. Do you really think that the world is flat? You don't think the world is flat.
Probably not, but is this Eric?
Yes,
hey.
Yes, James Marshall, I agree.
Okay, this is Sori, but I think you already knew that. All right, I'm going to put you on speaker here.
Deathspell Omega. We were supposed to do Deathspell.
I have a very unique outlook on life and the whole 9 yards. So, and plus, like I was telling you guys in the email last night, I actually have a religious background as well. So I kind of look at the fence on both sides because I face the facts of reality. I look at the way it is, not the way everybody wants it to be. You Just look at reality the way it is, plain and simple.
Okay, so what do you got? Is there something
for
that you...
starters, like what you were talking about the atheist as being a murderer. What's human nature? Look back at history. Look back at even look back at in biblical times. Human nature has always been for war, bloodshed. I don't care if you believe in Christ and the cross or if you believe in Darwin and evolution. It's always been survival of the fittest. In essence, he who dies with the most toys wins.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think that's why we need moral codes, because we're not naturally empathetic to our fellow man.
But see, when you're talking about the morals of, in essence, life, in essence, that falls on the parents' responsibility to instill the morals in their children, so when they grow up and in essence become us, we can do the exact same thing. It's just kind of like the old saying, one bad apple will spoil the whole bunch.
Yeah, but when you say spoil, or when you say it's a parent's responsibility to raise them with good morals, you're now saying that there's some sort of standard to attain to, but
that goes into with the fiber of you being a human. It's just like the golden rule, the same thing that they teach you in church. Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Well,
you want to be treated. I mean,
yeah, the reason the golden rule works for a Christian is that everybody has an equal footing, because we're all created in the image and likeness of God, so everybody has equal value. But if you say there's no God, why should I apply the golden rule?
Because you treat others the way you want to be treated. You want to be treated like a jackass, you treat everybody like a jackass.
That didn't happen to Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan went around killing, raping. I mean, you realize like 20% of Asia can be traced back to Genghis Khan. He had a jolly old time. I mean, look, history is littered with people and societies who oppressed people for hundreds, even thousands of years that got away with it. Why do they need the golden rule?
Why do they need the golden rule? I mean, it's not something that somebody's going to put a gun to your head and say, hey, here, follow this. I mean,
right.
Like with the whole free will thing, I mean, yeah, we're all given free will, but who's to say that's just not something that, in essence, has come, in essence, over time? Not just being like, oh, okay, you know what, here we go, we're going to put this in here, we're going to put this in here, we're going to put this in here, we're going to try this. You know, I mean...
But what I'm saying is, a guy like Genghis Khan, who has absolute power, right?
Well,
why would he need?
It depends on what your definition of absolute power is. You
like Genghis Khan,
somebody with absolute power that is putting fear into people's hearts and minds, and like, you do what I say or you're dead.
Right.
That's just being a bully.
Well, sure. What's wrong with being a bully if you've got absolute power?
There's always a bigger fish, though.
There was no bigger fish than Genghis Khan at the time, my man.
Well, at the time, yes.
Okay, so tell him why he should apply the golden rule.
I mean, it's kind of self-obvious. You want to be treated decently, or you want to be treated like a dick. And
it's
most times people...
No, he had absolute power. He's the greatest warlord of the time. Nobody could fuck with him. So he was treated just fine. But he treated other people terribly.
That was his choice. I mean, that's free will right there.
It was. What I'm saying is, on what basis could you tell him to apply the golden rule?
You got me there on that one.
Well, that's my point. My point is, this whole idea that we have morality because we need the mutuality doesn't work in human history. Normally in human history, what happens in the real world is that you have a dominant people and a vulnerable people.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And the strong will survive. I mean, that's just common knowledge.
Well,
but when you want to throw in, free will and the moral and this, that, and the other, just because I have certain morals doesn't mean that the next guy next to me is going to have the exact same morals or look at it the exact same way that I did.
Right. And so, that's all I'm saying.
You can't really sit there and say, oh, this guy was better than this guy because, at the time, like you were saying, there was nobody to stop him.
Well, no,
with Hitler, there was somebody to stop him. There was a bigger fish.
So if there were a couple little fish in the Western world that stopped Hitler and the Russians too. But the point that I'm making is that let's say that Hitler was the biggest fish, would that have made Nazi ideology correct because he had the power to enforce his ideology? Or is there anything above Hitler? Is there anything above society that can determine what's right or wrong?
That one, no, there's not. Physically, not in my eyes, because it's all, I mean, it's just like...
That was my only point, bro. That was my only point. My only point about atheism is not that all atheists are terrible, horrible people. All I'm saying is exactly what you just said, which is, from an atheistic perspective, there's nothing above us to determine what's right or wrong. We have to basically make it up as we go along. That's all I'm saying.
It's like life's a dance. You learn as you go, you know? I mean, plain and simple, nobody knows what's going to happen. So therefore, you can either sit there and, in essence, what I myself, being non-religious, looks at hiding behind something that, quite honestly, was written by man, or you can just live your life and take it as it comes. Because guess what's going to happen in reality? You're going to wind up just living your life and taking it as it comes. I mean, you can have faith. I mean, I'm not a religious person in the least bit, but I have faith. I have faith that the sun's going to come up in the morning. I have faith that, you know, this is going to get done. I have faith that that's going to get done. But does that mean that in essence it's going to get done? No. I'm just hoping that it's going to get done.
Yeah,
You know?
I hear you. All right, man. I think other people want to call in. I'll check you out later, brother.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Okay.
Who is that? Was that big homie Eric? Was that Eric? What was his name?
Yep, that one was Eric.
Thank you, Eric, for calling in, sir. I appreciate you.
We have one more.
No,
here.
Alec is going to call
Alec
in.
is
He's
gonna
got
call
30 minutes.
Okay, Alec. Okay, do you have Alec's number?
No, Alec, message us in Facebook
Vin and
chat.
Sori. No. Just I'm already on here. VinandSori.com. Send me your number.
How about a TV show? Gojira, I'd love a TV show. How does one accomplish that?
What? I think that they want us to review a TV show.
Oh, I thought he said, you know, whatever.
It should be a TV
Oh,
show.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Empathy is very natural to humanity.
Sounds like a Christian Outline debate show like South Park has. You know,
Really?
I've never seen that, but that's hilarious sounding. I mean, I've seen like characters from South Park, but I'm sure that's
Andrew Tasco, that's because you haven't read history. I've never seen an atheist kill someone in the name of Darwin. The League of the Militant Godless, Emilian Yarvlovsky. Good Lord. I'm sorry. It's there. It's open source for everybody to read. God almighty. I'm being a jerk. I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, they did kill people in the name of atheism and Darwinism.
I was like half focusing. If I was completely focusing, I would have told you if you were being a jerk.
They have a segment where they ask Jesus stuff. Appreciate you, Eric, for calling in, brother.
There we go.
What is the point of Leviathan and Behemoth in the Bible? Well, the Leviathan myth was circulated around in the A&E, and he was sort of this giant monster that Baal and El and his son Baal had to like wrestle and fight with. And so Yahweh, you know, the Hebrews took the Leviathan concept, and instead of Yahweh wrestling Leviathan, he would play with him in the ocean. And it's sort of like, this is how powerful Yahweh is. You know,
then I'll yeah, I can hear you.
El and Baal have to fight him, but Yahweh, like he's so powerful, he just wrestles, he just plays with him in the water, is the idea.
Okay.
What's up, Alec?
Not much. Just got back home a little while ago.
Big homie.
I was gonna say the official big homie.
You need to autograph something for me, Alec. What was your point, big guy?
All right. I mean, I feel like a lot of the atheists that you're having on are trying to argue that morality is objective, but I wouldn't agree with that.
You would not agree that morality is objective.
Correct.
Well, I know you and I have already had this conversation.
Yeah, but other people haven't heard it.
And I think that would you say, Alec, that that's the more honest answer as far
Yes.
coming from an atheistic worldview? Okay, do me a favor and tell the people what you mean as simply but as concisely as you can.
Well, don't you think he needs to say who he is? Like, we know, and some of the villagers know, but he, say what he,
Okay,
say a little bit about yourself,
Alec,
Alex. You're not some random person.
Tell the common people
Yep.
who you are.
I mean, I'm just some viewer, but I happen to have a BS or a Bachelor's of Science in Biochemistry, and I work at a synthetic biology lab, so I guess that makes me slightly qualified to speak on the issues of science.
Stop it. Slightly. He's here.
I know.
Slightly. This is my favorite guy. He said slightly. You're not slightly any. This
we met
isn't.
Alec through the channel, yeah.
Yeah.
Way at the beginning, he started being a patron.
Alec is an actual scientist. Actual scientist. Okay. Well, you get all these people, scientists say this, scientists say actually, I actually know. I say, you have no idea, Alec. I say it all the time. I'm like, I actually know a real biologist, so shut up.
No joke, Alec. Every day he brings you up.
Yep. This is my guy. Okay, Alec, so go for it.
I mean, I'll just make it very simple. So I'll just start off by saying I'm not a moral philosopher. So, of course, I could be just completely wrong. But from where I stand, I don't see any empirical evidence to suggest that morality is objective. And from classes I've taken in physical anthropology as well as cultural anthropology, I've come to the assumption or the conclusion that morality is more or less just a combination between human biology as social primates, your individual neurophysiology, how those interactions occur, interaction effects, as well as the social mores and culture in which you're inculcated. I mean, it differs between people, between cultures, between time and history.
Okay, so what that means is there is no overarching definition of what is morally good or evil, is there?
Correct.
From your perspective.
Correct.
Okay. So then when we're talking about the enforcement of certain moral codes, that just depends on who's stronger at a given moment.
It more or less depends on what the society, I mean, if it's a government that's, determining a punishment for a certain crime, it more or less depends on what that society deemed as morally dubious and morally acceptable behavior.
Right, and, if that government becomes repressive enough, then people are inevitably going to revolt, but most people have to be pushed to some pretty far extremes to revolt.
Yes.
Right. So that was Jordan Peterson's entire point, and my point, which is if you're now what do you think of have you read any Bertrand Russell or Nietzsche or Voltaire or anything?
No, I read a little bit of John Peter Singer, but
okay.
I wouldn't agree with most of his conclusions. Peter
Singer's my guy. I love now obviously Peter Singer's very useful for me, right?
I would assume so, yeah.
because
he has a daughter and a pet rat, and he says he values the life of his daughter as much as his pet rat, so that's
right. Right. Peter, he said something to the effect of it would be immoral to spare the life of a severely retarded child than to take the life of a happy cat. Meaning,
whoa.
Well, he I don't know if any of y'all in the village have heard of the term speciesism, where you hold your species as some sort of ontological value above other species. But that's Peter Singer. And so Peter Singer's whole mentality is, hey, just because we're Homo sapiens doesn't mean we're more valuable than than felines or canines or whatever.
Whoa.
That's why I told Alec, this guy's very useful for...
Right.
The problem that I have, Alec, is that not many atheists I know are familiar with Peter Singer. So I'm not able to bring him up as an argument.
Yeah.
But this is where atheism leads. I think that so he's an ethicist, and he's taken his now. Why do you disagree with him? Because you sound like you disagree with him.
I mean, I don't disagree with the principles or the method that he uses to come to his conclusions. I mean, if you were to look at, let's see, the life of a happy cat and the life of a severely retarded child, I mean, if both of them were to be killed the next day, the universe would not care. I mean, there is no overarching moral theme by which all of humanity or all of life or all of existence must abide to.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody's contending that the universe would care.
Yeah, because the universe wouldn't care if we killed a super awesome person either.
Correct.
So what's the difference?
The universe doesn't care about
That's why I'm saying that morality is not objective.
Right. And that's all I'm saying. What do you think about atheists who try to objectify reality?
What do you mean?
Like Sam Harris and Dillahunty, like they make these attempts to establish objective means of morality from an atheistic worldview. What do you think of that?
Well, I don't really think. Well, I'm not going to speak about Dillahunty because I haven't read any of his work. But for Sam Harris, I've read almost all of his books, and I don't think he tries to make an objective case for morality. I think he suggests that there are certain innate cues that we humans have as socialized primates that we all, or the majority of us, act upon in good mental health, and that science can explore why humans do the things they do and how to maybe prevent some of the things that we would consider deleterious, and to work on providing a well-reasoned form of morality by which to govern ourselves. I don't think he's stating some objective, you must do this, form of morality in his books. The Moral Landscape. Is that the book you're talking about, The Moral Landscape?
Yes.
Yes. That's what I'm
in his recent discussions with Peterson led me believe that he had a... somebody said, "Get him, Alec."
I know, I saw that. I wanted to say, "Get him, Alec."
Well, Alec is agreeing with me, at least, that there is no way to objectively establish morals from an atheistic worldview. So I don't know how.
There's subjective morality that we both abide by. You and I both abide by. I'm going to guess 99% similar moral codes.
Well, sure, but that's because you live in a Judeo-Christian culture, there, Alec.
Well, I would say that this culture is largely based on Christianity. I would also say that Christianity is based off of being a human. I mean, there are...
Wait, say that again? Christianity is based on what now?
Christianity, or some of the moral codes in it, is based off of being a human. There was this political cartoonist, I don't remember his name, but he's British. And there was this cartoon I saw, and it was about giving the tablets to the people. And he said, "Thou shalt not kill." I never thought of that before. Like, as if you need to be told not to kill people to not kill people. It's like, I don't think it's a very, profound state in a religion, "Thou shalt not kill." Like, you don't get props for saying not to go around murdering people.
Well, actually, I mean, when you look at the 20th century, you kind of do. This is the thing that gets me about, I'm pushing back on you a little bit, Alec, is that...
That's fine. I would expect.
People act as if that these quote-unquote basic moral codes are basic to all humanity, and we just got out of the bloodiest century in human history. I mean, how do you reconcile that?
Is the cause of the 20th centuries and the wars in it atheism? Because I wouldn't state so.
Well, I mean, are you denying that the communist revolution was largely an atheistic endeavor?
I mean, while most communists are atheists, I don't think that they go around saying, "I'm an atheist, therefore I will kill you."
Yeah, they did. Emelian Yarvlovsky. I keep. Nobody's.
Bulma is the only real example that you can point to of that, the League of Militant Atheists in the Soviet Union. But other than that,
they killed millions.
But it's always in the name of communism, not atheism.
You're wrong. As a matter of fact, Yarvlovsky said that the reason that their version, that Soviet communism was successful, was because of their atheism.
I mean, yes, I'm saying that Marxism does dictate atheism to a certain degree.
Okay, tell Flesh of Danny that they actually said that, because he doesn't believe me. Maybe if you say it to Flesh of Danny, he'll believe. that that Marxism is dependent on atheism?
I mean, Karl Marx was largely an atheist for most of his life and does state that atheism is fairly well inherent within Marxist ideologies.
Okay.
But there are some non-atheist communists, but it's by and large an atheist movement, even though I don't think that atheism is synonymous with communism.
It's not necessarily connected to communism, but the communists that killed millions of people in the 20th century were Marxists, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That means that atheism as a thought process, at least the militant version, was responsible for the deaths of millions of people in the 20th century, correct?
No, communism was, not atheism.
But you just said that Marxism is completely dependent on atheism, right?
You must be, well, in the words of many Marxists, you must be an atheist to be a Marxist.
Okay.
But I don't think that stating, you're making an if-then statement. If you are an atheist, you are therefore a Marxist. If you're a Marxist, then therefore what you kill people for is a result of your atheism.
Not at all. What I'm saying is the folks who are going around murdering people and destroying churches and building Marxist brainwashing facilities on top of them were decidedly, explicitly, militantly atheistic. They did not hide this in their literature.
I mean, yes, they were atheist. They were militant about it.
Okay.
And suppressed freedom of religion, but I don't think that atheism is the cause. I mean, they kill people in the name of the state, not in the name of atheism.
Well, I mean, I have data that says otherwise. Like, let's say it this way. Do you have anybody from that period, any of the major players from that period, that said that they were killing people only for communism apart from their atheism? Because I have quotes that say the opposite.
Well, to begin with, I wanted to even state that most communists are truly atheists. I view statism as a form of religion. I mean, in North Korea, so one of the 4 remaining communist countries in the world, North Korea, I don't think that the people there can be considered true atheists. I mean, they get on their knees every day and pray to the Kim family. Right now it's Kim Jong-un. They attribute within supernatural qualities. I mean, I don't think that's the qualifications to be an atheist.
Yeah, I'm not talking about North Korea, though. I'm talking about the Marxists who murdered millions of people last century.
So what was your question about them?
Those people, the militant Marxists that killed a bunch of people, millions of people, were militant atheists by their own confession. And they said, because you know this, but I don't know if the rest of our audience knows this. The Soviet communism wasn't the first time that communism raised its ugly head, or some people would say not so ugly head. And so when these folks would talk, they would say the reason that our brand of communism is working is because of the spirit of militant atheism. That's a direct quote. So they attributed militant atheism to the rise of their particular brand of communism. I'm not talking about communism as a whole. I'm talking about the violent Marxist brand of communism that bodied millions of people last century. That's what I'm saying.
So I'm just going to answer your question with the question. Because National Socialism or Nazism was held by almost entirely Christian, why did Christians kill so many people in the name of Christianity in the 20th century?
Well, that answer is very simple. You just said there is no objective morality in an atheistic worldview. There is an objective morality in a Christian worldview, and I can say definitively, very easily, that they were not following the teachings of Jesus. But as many atheists have rightly pointed out to me, there is no guidebook to how you should conduct morality from an atheistic perspective. So there's no way that you can say they were being inconsistent with anything.
How can you state that they were not following Christianity?
Well, Christianity, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is based upon the teachings and life and death of Jesus of Nazareth. And Jesus made a definitive statement about killing people, which was, don't do it. Which is why, for the first 3 centuries of Christianity, they walked willingly into the arena and allowed themselves to be murdered and never took up arms.
So if the Nazi can point to a Bible verse that they can twist into condoning what they did, what makes your interpretation more sufficient than theirs?
Well, I'm not a postmodernist, so I believe that the original intention of the author can be garnered from reading the text. And when you have a verse after verse after verse on top of the actions of Jesus of Nazareth, on top of the actions of his followers, you can get a clear understanding of how a Christian is supposed to interact with violence, which is the violence is only supposed to go one way, which is toward us, never from us.
So would you state that those Nazis were not true Christians?
Of course I would say that. Well, let me say it this way. The Nazis that were participating in murder. Now, look, there are a lot of German citizens that Christian, and I will say Muslim as well, that hid Jews and were willing to sacrifice their life for their neighbor. And of course, if you look at a 5-minute understanding of the life of Jesus, that is how you're to conduct yourself with your neighbor. There is no way that you can read the Good Samaritan parable and come away with the understanding. I don't care how you want to twist a passage. There is no way you can read the Good Samaritan parable and come away with the understanding that you ought to kill these Jews. So the point is, there is an objective standard by which a person can judge whether or not a person's being a good Christian. There is no such standard, by your own admission, by which you can judge whether somebody's being a good atheist or not. So if the atheist...
By the standard definition of atheism, if you're attributing supernatural qualities to someone or worshiping something, I do not think that you can be considered an atheist.
I agree with that, by definition, but that's not what was happening in communist Russia.
I mean, I would disagree. I think that the worship of the state is a form of religion, and therefore they are not true atheists.
So now you're disavowing that. Let me ask you this question, Alec. Is there any historian that will agree with you that the Marxists of the 20th century were not real atheists?
I'm going to say that they're atheists, but I do not agree that what they're doing is in the name of, the modern atheism that we have now, which is, heavy emphasis on scientific inquiry and personal liberties. I would not consider myself one of those atheists.
Well, I agree with you. I'm not a Roman Catholic. I'm not a Presbyterian. There are different denominations.
That's the point of the Nazis. Like, what objective criteria can you use to determine that their version of Christianity is not yours? I mean, is there like a guide to determine who is a Christian and who is not?
Well, sure. I mean, we've had these discussions throughout. When I say we, I'm talking about Christians. And look, I didn't even go by my own definition of what a Christian is. I went by the Oxford Dictionary's definition of Christianity, and that was the teachings and the life of Jesus of Nazareth. So this is not my subjective interpretation of what a Christian is. There are very clear lines as to what defines Christianity. I mean, the name Christ is in the term Christianity, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that there is an objective standard by which we can judge whether or not a person is being consistent with that. And there is nothing in the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth that would say that you get to exterminate people and perform eugenic experiments on them.
Babe, how do we get back to the chat?
There's also nothing in atheism that says you can't. So what you're telling me is that the Marxism of the 20th century you do not subscribe to. I know that you don't. But you can't say that that's no form of atheism. Alec, you're rewriting history at this point.
I'm stating that I would not identify them with modern-day scientific-based atheism.
I agree with you.
And I think that their main ideology that drove them was the Bolshevik communism or the Stalinist strain of communism that they held, not atheism. You cannot go out and say, I do not believe in X deity, therefore I'm killing you.
Well,
there is justification there.
I mean,
I believe in a state that has no room for you in our system, and therefore I'm killing you.
Well, I mean, look, if somebody says something, I tend to believe that that's what's motivating them. These people made explicit statements that we can all look up that says the exact opposite of what you just said. They said that the reason that the other communist revolutions failed was because they were not buttressed by militant atheism. And the reason that they were successful was due to their militant atheism. That's a fact. I can cite it. I can quote it.
I mean, I don't see how that's relevant to establishing moral framework.
No, it doesn't establish anything. What it does establish, though, is that the idea that atheism has no implications on anyone's moral compass, or the myth that many atheists walk around with, that nobody was ever killed in the name of atheism, is simply ahistorical. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I'm just going to keep to the point that you cannot say, I don't believe in deities, therefore I'm going to kill you. There is no logical connection between that.
Well, but I understand that that's your perspective.
I believe in this God, and my holy book says to kill people of this group, therefore I'm going to kill you. That is a logical connection that can be made, but there is no holy book of atheism where you can justify killing a group of people.
Yeah, I think what you're missing is that because there's no holy book, there's no need for justification. Because nobody's worth anything. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, but you're not arguing with me. You're arguing with them. And what I'm hearing from you is that their brand of atheism, or how they manage their atheism in the world, is reprehensible to you. And I agree. And I would say that denomination within atheism, militant atheism, thankfully, is in the minority in the modern world, and not the majority as what we saw in Russia in the 20th century.
I mean, I would agree with you that but I still don't see the connection between. I mean, it's like saying, I don't play golf, therefore, saying that you're an atheist and therefore going to kill somebody is the exact same process as saying, I don't play golf, therefore I'm going to kill you. I mean, I don't believe in X.
That's Alec, let's pull back for a second. Are there moral implications to an atheistic worldview?
No.
There are no moral implications to an atheistic worldview.
Give me an example of what you mean when you state that.
Well, for example, there are certain sexual mores that we're no longer beholden to because there is no God to tell us what to do with our bodies. Right?
Correct. But
right.
I mean, I feel like I'm not the one who has the burden of proof in this situation.
No. I'm not saying that I need to prove that there is a God that should tell us what to do with our sexuality. What I'm asking you is, it seems to me to be patently obvious that if there is a God, then that carries a certain package of moral implications. And if there's not a God, that carries with it a certain package of moral implications.
But that requires the assumption that morality comes from a God, or is dependent upon a God.
No.
Which is a claim. Yes.
No. All I'm saying is, when you talk about the concept of morality, both of us have implications based on our guiding presuppositions. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you've already stated that because you believe there's no God, right, that morality is subjective.
Right.
Right, so you extrapolated from the concept that there's no God the fact that morals are subjective. I'm extrapolating from the concept that there is a God that they're objective. So all I'm saying is that there are implications no matter what your starting presupposition is. That's all I'm saying. So for you to compare that to golfing is I mean, I just don't see how that follows. These are ultimate questions here, right? Like the existence of God, the origin of life, the origin of consciousness. These are ultimate questions. Golf is not an ultimate question.
I don't see how a disbelief, which would be a negative statement or negative clause, would therefore have an implication of a morality system that you make an initial assumption of being related or placated upon the existence of a deity. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Or
no, I think you're making assumptions about what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that if you say there's no God, there are implications on morality. That's all I'm saying. And I'm pretty sure we agree about that.
I mean, I agree in some sense, but I think that stating that morality is subjective is the default position. I mean, I'm not the one arguing in the affirmative in this area.
Well, we're agreeing. What I'm saying is, because of your atheism, you're saying that morality is subjective. So I'm saying, okay, let's live in that universe. That's all I'm saying. So if I lived in that universe and I look back at the 20th century, I understand. Now, look, if I was an atheist, I would hope that I would be as nice of a guy as you, right? All I'm saying is, you can't on the one hand say that morality is subjective and then on the other hand condemn the militant atheists of the Soviet Union.
But I can, by my moral compass, I can state that what I find them having done to be opprobrious. Now, obviously, they don't think the same as me, which is, I mean, just lends credence to the idea that morality is subjective.
Right. So it's like the color of a shirt. Like some people like blue, some people like red.
More or less.
Right. So it's just your opinion. I get it. Like you can't categorically condemn it. You can say, as Alec, I do not like X. And all I'm saying is, I'm with you 100%. It's just that is a denomination of atheism. There's a militant strand of atheism that's responsible for killing a bunch of people. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, we might just have to agree to disagree there.
Well, I mean, you're not disagreeing with me. You're disagreeing with them. Because they're saying it.
I just disagree with the jump that you make from, I don't have a belief in this, therefore I'm going to kill you.
No. That's not the jump that I made. That's what they said. The people that were doing the killing were telling us why they were doing the killing and what was motivating them. So your disagreement is not with me. You and I are agreeing.
Their motivation. I would still say that their motivation is the Bolshevik communism they held, not atheism.
Well,
atheism.
Have you read? Can I ask you a question? Honest question. Have you read anything from these people?
I've read from not Stalin. Oh God, what's his dude's name? Lysenko.
Okay.
I've read from him.
He's important, but Stalin's kind of important too.
I read a little bit from Lenin. I haven't read Das Kapital. I read Communist Manifesto. I did that for school. I haven't read anything from Stalin. I don't even know if Stalin's published anything. There's this one other dude. I forget what his name is. He was a communist. Oh, Trotsky. Leon Trotsky. Him. I remember him now.
Okay. Well, I think you should read Lenin. I think you should read Yarlovsky, because Lenin was the one that employed Yarlovsky. Yarlovsky was basically Lenin's, water boy. So, I think it's important to read that stuff because this is the stuff that these people are saying. It's not what I'm saying. This is not what Christian apologists are saying. And so I don't really understand why there's such a problem. Like, if you could say this is what they said motivated them out of their own mouths, I disagree. I think it's logically incoherent, and I think it was crazy that that's how they applied their atheism. That would make a ton of sense to me. But when they say something out of their own mouths as to what their motivation was, it's kind of like the height of arrogance to me to say, well, no, they said that, but that's not the real reason. Like, how could you possibly know something like that?
I mean, they can state it all they want to, but I do not see it as logically consistent.
I agree. That's not the question. The question is not, is it logically consistent? My question is, what motivated them, and they didn't leave it a mystery.
Bolshevism. I mean, I think that brand of Marxism is what allowed them to do what they did, not atheism. I mean, they might state atheism or a contempt for religion, which I'm sure helped, but there is no logical jump that you can make from being an atheist to committing mass murder. Well,
mass murders are very rarely logical, are they?
I mean, if you can justify it based on a passage in a holy book, then there's a slight logical connection there that can be jumped from. Well, if you start with that this holy book is correct, point to a verse and it's stating to kill this group of people, then you kill that group of people, then it would be logically consistent with your assumption.
Oh, I mean, Alec, I can look. We've got a country of 400 million people. 6 million of them are standing in our way. Let's get rid of them all, and then we'll have a country where everybody agrees. Now, it's ruthless, but it's logical.
I mean,
you don't need a holy book to justify mass murder.
That's what I mean, they had the assumption that, I'm assuming you're referring to National Socialism in Germany.
I wasn't even doing that. Because there weren't 400 million Germans at the time.
Correct.
What I'm saying is that mass murder, you can come up with a logical syllogism that's very tight if you want to. You don't need a Bible to justify mass murder.
I mean, I would agree that if you start with the base assumption, which may or may not be true, considered to be an axiom, and then logically connect it, you can justify it in your mind as logically consistent with the assumption, even if it's not true. But I don't see how you make that jump with atheism.
I didn't. This is the last time I'm going to say it. I didn't make the jump. They did. I didn't say it.
It doesn't make it logically consistent. I mean,
I'm not saying they're logically consistent. I'm not talking about that they had a sound syllogism for murdering all those people. I mean, my assumption is always going to be carte blanche from the beginning. If you kill millions of people, you're wrong, period. Right? So I'm not saying that they were logically right or anything. All I'm saying is they voiced what their motivations were. Some of it was economic, some of it was social, and some of it, a lot of it, they said that the grounding of it was their militant atheism. And I'm not going to play psychologist and say, well, no, they said that, but they didn't really mean that. To me, that just looks like a person. Anyway, I'm not going to say it. You have the last word.
I mean, well, let me ask you something. You just said killing millions of people is outright wrong, no matter what, right?
For sure. Jesus has come, so he's abolished the death penalty.
Was killing 17 million Nazis wrong?
Was killing 17 million Nazis wrong? Yeah, I believe that killing 17 million Nazis were wrong. I think you can go in there. Hitler surrendered. We didn't need it. Like, for example, the Dresden bombing. Do you agree with the Dresden bombing? We should have done that?
I don't agree with that bombing or the Hamburg bombings.
Say again?
I don't agree with that bombing or the Hamburg bombings.
Okay, so we agree there. For those of you who don't know, Dresden, I'm more familiar with Dresden than Hamburg. Can you give a 2-minute kind of explanation of the Hamburg bombings and why you disagree?
Sure. So it's a slightly less well-known bombing scenario. So it was an Allied bombing cooperative. Hamburg is a city in Germany. They're mostly left-wing socialist and atheist types, which was outlawed by the National Socialist Party or the Nazi Party in Germany. They went against Hitler during his entire chancellorship during the entire war. They were fairly oppressed by Hitler, but even so, we still bombed their city, even though they were well over 95% against the Nazi Party and resisted them. But we bombed them because they were a major infrastructure facility for railroad things. I forgot what they're called, railroad tracks, I guess. So I disagree with that because they were largely against Hitler, but we still bombed their city and killed many of them anyway.
You're talking about civilians now.
Yeah, that was an Allied bombing.
Yeah, and we kind of had this discussion last week where we were talking about 600,000 people dying in the Civil War, and I have the position that we should have waited it out and we shouldn't have went to war, which is kind of ironic considering my condition. But from my perspective as a Jesus follower, we should do everything possible to minimize killing. And I actually don't even believe that any Christian should take part in any form of killing for any reason. So when you say, should we have killed 17 million Nazis? No, I don't think we should have. Now, if you ask the question, did we have to? I think if the only people that we killed, which it's war, so this is impossible, but here's the thought experiment. If the only people that we killed were militant Nazis that had drank the Hitler Kool-Aid, right? Then I would say it's the worst of all possible scenarios, but it had to be done. But those were not the only people that we killed. So you had Dresden, which is the famous one. Then you had Hamburg, and I'm sure there are many others. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
That's interesting. So, well, first off, I just want to ask you this question. So the USSR killed and persecuted many Orthodox Russian Christians. under the guise of what you would say to be militant atheism, correct?
Well, it wasn't a guise. I mean, it was pretty explicit, but yeah.
All right, so can I then make the same leap and say that atheism defeated Nazism? Because the USSR was probably the most instrumental party in defeating the Nazi party.
I think that's a very, well...
So can I state that atheism stopped Nazism? And if you can say that it's because of atheism that the communists in the USSR killed all these people, can I also state that it is because of that same reason that they killed the Nazis? Even though it's not logically consistent, but we can just throw that out the window.
Well, I don't care about logical consistency. What I care about is what they said motivated them. That's my issue. So if I found literature that said that it was their atheism that motivated them repelling Hitler, then I would say absolutely atheism stopped Nazism. Look, I think atheism has done a lot of good in the world. Like, for example, for whatever reason, the Christian tradition initially had a very good relationship with science, and then we basically surrendered that to you guys. And I think that a lot of the progress in the modern world, as far as and you know this better than me, so you could probably school me on this. I think that atheism is responsible for a ton of good in the world. But as far as your question about Nazism, like atheism stopping Nazism, I would agree. I would credit a lot of what happened of us overcoming Hitler to Russian sacrifice. I'm not sure, though, that there's literature that states that they oppose Nazism due to their atheism.
Well, I mean,
there is literature that says that they killed all those people due to their militant atheism within the USSR and their revolution. But I don't think that they were using that type of rhetoric for against Nazism. I mean, you know more about that than I would. Did they?
Communism is inherently anti-fascist, and because the National Socialist Party was a fascist party, and because communism dictates atheism, if we can attribute one cause of communism to atheism, then why not the other?
The reason is because we have literature from the mouths of the main players that tell us what motivated them to do certain...
You made the leap there, so why can't I make the leap here? Well, even though it's not really consistent.
I didn't make the leap. I quoted them. If you can quote them as saying why they did that with Nazism, I will happily say that atheism stopped Nazism. I don't have a problem with saying that. I'm just very precise.
I'll take it. Atheism stopped Nazism. I'll take it.
Well, if you have literature to communicate that, I'm good with that.
I think we're just making up the two different points of view. Like, I'm stating that it's not logically consistent following standard first order logic to state that because communism requires atheism, that atheism is responsible for the murders committed under communism. But
that wasn't my argument. That wasn't my argument. My argument was the people who were doing the killing stated explicitly that it was. Now, whether or not they were logical, that's not my contention. My contention is not logic; it's motivation, and I'm garnering what their motivation was from what they said. That's what I'm saying.
And I would also agree that you can't go from Christianity to Nazism to murdering 6 million Jews with a logical connection, even though they proclaim Christianity as a platform of National Socialism.
Well, I agree that you can't, and the reason is because unlike atheism, Christianity has an objective standard. But atheism doesn't. So I don't have a problem with saying that atheism stopped Nazism if you can prove that atheism was a motivator to stop Nazism.
But I'm just following the same if-then statements that you are.
Okay, say back to me what my if-then statements were.
So if we go from the statements that prominent Marxists living in the USSR during the time of the religious purgings stated that one of the main causes of what they did was militant atheism. So we can attribute the acts of a communist government to militant atheism because they stated this. Then I can make the same jump that because communism relies on militant atheism, and communism was probably the most instrumental, the USSR was the most instrumental player in the downfall of the Nazi Party. then therefore atheism is at least partly responsible for the downfall of Nazism, even though I will admit that that's not logically consistent, following first order logic.
Well,
But
no, I wouldn't say partly. I'd be more generous and say fundamentally responsible for ending Nazism. The problem from your side is the gap in your syllogism is that you haven't produced any main player that has made the statement that they oppose Nazism for that reason. That's the only gap. Now, I'm not saying that those don't exist because I think that's an interesting question. I'm going to do some research on it. And if the research comes where there are explicit statements to that point, then I would happily say that atheism was fundamentally responsible for ending Nazism. I wouldn't have a problem with saying that. Of course, the communists murdered way more people than the Nazis did in spades. I mean, we all know that. So that doesn't really help, but I'll take it. I don't have this view of the world that atheists have contributed nothing, or only bad things. Because remember, from my perspective of the world, atheists are image bearers of God, whether or not they deny him with their mouths, right? And so I think atheists have done amazing things, in that we would be in a pretty terrible society right now if it wasn't for the contributions of atheists. So
I think that. I mean, earlier, a few minutes ago, you stated that you think atheism has contributed to the world a lot, correct?
A lot of positive things to the world and a lot of negative things to the world.
I would state that. I mean, I wouldn't say atheism contributed those things. I would say that atheists have contributed those things. I don't think atheism is this, overarching ideology that you can link to all these achievements. That, I mean, science has provided a lot of things, and there's have historically been a large number of atheists in science. I don't know if you know right now, but atheists make up like around 3 or 4% of the U.S. population, who make around 60-something% of all major scientists. We're extremely overrepresented in the scientific fields, but I don't think it's because of atheism. I think it's, I mean, if you understand what I'm saying.
Well, well, this is interesting because now I'm on the other, the opposite side of it. I anytime I see a population get overrepresented, like, because that's huge. I mean, did you hear that, guys? You guys are what, 3 to 6% of the U.S. population? Is that what you said?
We're like between 3 and 5% around that.
And, but you account for an inordinate percentage of the scientists, like 60% of the scientists.
Correct.
And so there's got to be some connecting ideology there at some level. Like you're not saying that's a coincidence.
I mean, I think it's because atheists tend to take an extremely hyper-rationalistic scientific worldview, and that's why we overrepresent the scientific fields.
Can you
Well, then, from that perspective, I wouldn't say that it's purposeful. It's not like atheism has a repository and says, okay, like everybody's going to be a scientist. But I do think that is a good. Okay, let me say this way. I think it's a good byproduct of atheism.
Honey, we have a lot of people that are like jumping into the chat. So can you like cap some people like what is even going on? If you can just give like a little burp so we know where we're at and then continue on.
Yes. But before I do, what did you think about that? Alec. That it was not a direct cause, but a byproduct of their atheism.
I mean, I will say it is a byproduct, but I don't cling to this idea that atheism is like this ideology that has a large repository of what atheists do or say or how we conduct our lives. I think atheists make up probably, I mean, there's a reason why there's not very many, atheist political parties in the world, is because we all think so differently. We make up lots of different political ideologies and ways to conduct our lives. I mean, there's atheists, liberal Democrats, socialists, communists, libertarians. And that kind of diversity you don't really see in very many religious groups. You don't see a lot of, Muslim, libertarians, communists, socialists, social democrats,
well, I mean,
etc.
Yeah, and wouldn't you say that's due to the fact there's no unifying principle?
Correct. I mean, the only unifying principle of atheism is that we don't believe in supernatural deities.
Right. So that giveth and it taketh away. On the one hand, it gives you a lot of diversity, and that's a positive thing. But on the other hand, it gives you a lot of diversity, and that's a negative thing, as we've just discussed. Okay, I'll let you have the last word because I think people are getting bored, or I think other people want to talk to me.
That's fine.
So go ahead, have the last word, big guy.
All right. I mean, we've talked about a lot of things, so it's difficult to get a last word. I would just say that atheists or atheism is a very small idea, just that there are no gods, and that it doesn't really dictate how you live your life or what moral positions you have. And clearly we've seen that already. In that there's really not any way to logically justify committing certain acts in the name of atheism.
Okay. And Alec, if you are paying attention to the chat, there's an individual who wants to talk with you further on Facebook.
Yeah, they're asking for his last name. Somebody asked for his last name. I thought it was part of his name here, so I don't know. Is it fine to say that, or?
Well, hold on, Alec. I wouldn't do that because this is going to get published on YouTube later on.
Yeah, I know, but I think when he's talking in the chat, I think his full name is on that, so they'll just see him in the feed.
So, and my full name is on the Vin and Sori Village anyway.
Okay.
So he can find me through there or whatever, and just add me, and I'll talk to him. I'm not on the chat right now because I closed it out to talk to y'all. But he can just add me through whatever means.
Okay, if you want to get in contact with the big seat, you're famous, Alec. You need to start your own channel.
I know, he should.
If you want to talk to the big homie, he's on the village, okay? But if I say I want to talk to him, he's going to prioritize me. We already have an arrangement. Are you thinking about creating your own channel, Alec?
It's just something that I have time with. Like, I have a few papers I need to write to get published right now that I'm working on, and it's just too time consuming to make a YouTube channel, I think.
All right. Well, I guess we'll just have to settle for him being here. All right, brother. Cool, man. So if you wanna hook up with Alec, he is on the village. I'm good to post his name on the village because his first and last is on the village. I just don't. We'll have a trillion people going after this guy if we publish it here. Okay, Alec. Love you, my brother. Have a good one, buddy.
All right, y'all have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Look at this one.
The big homie. Sorry, call me Vid from now on so we can be Vid and Sori. Oh,
No,
shit. Vin's off the phone.
Shh. I said, I'm going to point you out.
Son of a bitch.
He's one of our patrons, so.
Hey!
My man!
My guy! I'll just kill you if you say it again. All right. But I won't because I'm not an atheist. Yeah, everybody give a big round of applause to the big homie, Alec.
Andrew Michael wants a shout out.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
So this guy, Jubes, #player Millie, he's from Brazil, I think.
Hey.
He calls you Vinny father and me Sori mother.
Aw. He must
cute,
be
right?
he must be a young chap.
Or just didn't
Hey,
have
is Elio Mike in here?
You had one other guy that wanted to talk to you. I don't know if you want to be done.
What
with
was it
calls for
about?
tonight. I don't know. He said that he's a young guy, but he thinks he can give you a run for your money, basically.
About what?
What topic? Let me see.
Hey, Linda.
Pantera X Ratum. Message me, like, send me an email that says what you want to talk about with Vinny here. And then we'll go from there.
Deathspell has been on the calendar for 2 months. Deathspell has been on the calendar for 3 months. God almighty. Hey, Nitorious, new sub. We love you.
Okay, Pantera's here. So he's going to send that email.
Emilion Yarlovsky, Tumba. I've mentioned him millions of times. Vin, call Jake.
Don't you think we should do that on another night? Because
What?
that'll be a longer discussion.
What discussion?
With Jake. That's Pony's husband.
What's the discussion on?
I don't know. You guys have been emailing each other, right?
Can I ask what's your political or economic position? I am an anarchist. An anarchist. Ah. So anarchy is a very interesting thought to me. Because I immediately you say, well, if there's no like law, then everybody's going to go crazy and kill each other like the Purge. But I don't think anybody's advocating for that. So I don't think I know enough about anarchy to really speak on it. Can somebody tell me what anarchy is? Like the real, like the people that are advocating for anarchy, tell me what it is. Because I don't think the picture I have in my head is the correct one. K2, nobody's ignoring you. I've just been in the middle of a pretty engaging conversation with a pretty intelligent guy. I needed to have all of my powers of reason with me.
He says he's not a big fan of religion or anything, but would love to talk about the state of the world and how we're being lied to all the time.
Do I think there's an important distinction between atheism and anti-theism? I don't know if it's important, but I do think it's significant. Anti-theists are people that are like against the concept of God, and some of them go to the point of saying like, if you teach your children about God, we're gonna take your kids away because it's child abuse and all that crazy. I mean, that's like the extreme form of anti-theism. So like I call those people atheistic fundamentalists. Whereas atheism is sort of like the good guy, like Alec that I just talked to, or the good people here. Did somebody come up with a anarchy definition yet? Okay, of course Alec knows. Anarcho-libertarianism is my preferred method of government, though I'm no expert in political theory. Anarchist believes in order through consensus, and there would be no leaders. I'm not sure that that's possible. There's a lack of government, but not in the sense that it's nothing but chaos.
There's Alec, you guys. He's there in the...
Yes, Alspie, the communists I'm describing would be anti-theists, but again, they're just atheist fundamentalists. It's not a different ideology.
Okay, I'm pasting what Alex said there, so anybody wants to find him.
Anarchist. What I need is a really, and don't take offense to this, but an educated anarchist to come and explain like what anarchists actually believe and want for the world, because I don't, like I said, the image that I have in my mind of anarchists is very, I don't know, probably childish and simplistic. Favorite breakfast food? Bacon and eggs?
Eggs.
The elimination of the state in the favor of individual sovereignty. Private property and open market.
You always ask for porridge. I don't know why you said bacon and eggs.
Anarchy is a pipe dream that doesn't take human nature into account. Probably. If, like I said, I have to see a thingy, like a real like robust definition in defense of anarchism for me to comment on it. Although that's my instinct, Elio Mike. Dresden and Hamburg were deserved because the Nazis bombed. I don't think that follows. What country are y'all in? I am in the country of America.
You guys should get some metal tattoos.
You know, I have such an addictive personality that I feel like if I get one tattoo, I'm gonna get like my whole body will be a tattoo. I look like I just came out of MS-13 or something.
Is that really why you've never gotten one?
That's the reason. I've said that before.
Yeah, I know, but you also said other reasons.
Yeah. How do we stop the neo-Nazis that are rising up in America? That's actually a troubling question because, as he said, violence is not the answer. I think that Nazism or neo-Nazism, because they're not the same thing, because they're dealing with separate questions. I think that we have not degraded so much as a society that we cannot confront these people in the public square. I'm not a fan of the whole punch a Nazi movement. I'm not a fan of that. But I do think that we have the advantage with social media to be able to have conversations like this. I don't believe that their ideas, because Nazism is an ideology, I don't think that their ideas can stand public scrutiny. And so when we have the whole, punch a Nazi thing, all that does is galvanize people on the fence, because it makes people say, well, shit, we are really being persecuted in our own country. Mm-hmm. And it actually plays into Nazi narratives. So I think that, they need to be destroyed in the public square intellectually. We need to sick people like Alec on them and let people like Alec, destroy them fundamentally. And I think that that's the way that we overcome. And so taking a decidedly non-violent stance against these people, I think, is the way to go. The Nazis have realistic and factual points that people don't want to notice. What realistic and factual points are those? Some people deserve to die. Violence is necessary. Like I said, Alec kind of pushed me to the edge with that. I think there are people that unfortunately are probably going to put other people in a situation where they have to be killed. I don't think that, at least on the American side, I don't know how things are in Europe right now, I don't think we're anywhere near that with the current strain of neo-Nazism in America at all. Why is Jordan Peterson not religious or not Christian in your view? Well, Jordan Peterson won't answer fundamental questions about the existence of God. And so, I've got a pretty liberal, generous definition of what makes a person a Christian. But if you can't, if you can't definitively say that there's a God, you're not a Christian. So there you go. Violence should be used wisely. I agree, and sparingly. I agree.
Whoa, I read that as widely, and I'm sitting here like, yo, I can't believe he just said that.
Antifa Marxism is a bigger threat to our society than any new Nazi movement.
I don't know if you're done with the phone calls, but there's a lot of people that are saying you should let this Tyler guy call you. Apparently, I don't know if he's schooled in... The hell did they say?
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Tyler in a second. I just want to think through...
Okay. Think through what?
I want to think through the of what Elio Mike said, which was that the Antifa people are more dangerous than the Nazis. I probably would agree with him because, Antifa has bunches of Facebook websites. They never get taken down, or very rarely. They shoot YouTube videos. I mean, we've personally seen.
Yeah.
Whereas neo-Nazis, there's an immediate cultural reaction to them. Mm-hmm. So I would probably say they're more dangerous, not so much because they're less violent or more violent than Nazis, but because our society doesn't really understand the level of violence that these people are willing to go to. Mm-hmm. So that's actually a very provocative statement, Elio Mike. And the media defends them, right? I mean, I saw something where they literally said they were against the Constitution and that the Constitution has no place in America. It's pretty interesting. Do you believe in speaking in tongues? I kind of have to. Yes, I do. There is no widespread embrace of Nazi ideology in America. That's true. Who are those people, though? Which people? Antifa? Yeah, Mike, they've explicitly stated they're against the Constitution. I mean, that's indisputable. They said it out of their own mouth. Okay, so Antifa stands for anti-fascist. And the irony of the whole thing is that they're extremely fascistic. So... yeah, Bricktown, yeah, we definitely need to address the issue for sure. And I think we need to confront it. I think, like I said, we deploy people, the Alex of the world to go and tear them apart in public discourse. I think we need to talk about them more. And actually, this is going to sound counterintuitive, but I think we need to give these guys a platform to speak and be completely respectful to them, and then just completely undo their logic in front of people, because you're always going to have hardcore people who are completely irrational. Alec and I just discussed that, and they have ideologies that are just bad and harmful and unhelpful, no matter whether you're atheist or theist, whatever, right? So you're always going to have that group of people with that sort of pathology. And then for the most part, you're going to have general people in society who are saying, this is completely fucked up. You can't do this. Nazism is terrible. But what people don't realize, you have a slice of people who are literally on the fence here, who really don't know, who really believe that, white people are being persecuted in America and that they're being, oppressed and all the rest of it. And they're on the fence. And I think it's those people that a public discourse would help to bring back into the fold of society and be like, okay, these guys are crazy. And that's why I say that those people, look, people say we shouldn't give them a platform. Look, with the advent of the internet and social media, they already have a platform. We've been around for 3 months. We have, 34,000 almost subscribers. So anybody can get a platform now. So we're beyond don't give them a platform and they'll go away. They have a platform. So what I would say is give them a platform and then just completely destroy them logically in public so that those people on the fence don't get radicalized. Okay. Can we get Tyler?
Yeah, Tyler, email us at vinandsori.com.
Get us your phone number, sir. Por favor.
Oh, Pantera. He's been waiting since the beginning to talk.
No, Jake, get Tyler on. Yeah, we're getting Tyler. Is someone a Christian if they do not share the view that there is a triune Godhead? That is a tricky question. I think the Trinity is an extremely complex idea to apprehend, and so I'm extremely generous, like I said, with what the baselines are now. 4th century Nicene Christianity would say, no, you're out. I think that there is a difference between somebody being largely ignorant of what the Trinity is, which is 95% of Christians in the world. 95% of Christians could not give you an orthodox definition of the Trinity.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think there's a big difference between ignorance of the Godhead versus arrogance. And what I mean by arrogance is, if you look historically at Christianity, you had Arius, who had a clear apprehension and understanding of what the formulation of the deity of Christ was, but because it didn't reconcile to his mind, he came up with other categories. I think that is something completely different. I think it's different when a person knows full well what the Bible says about the nature of Christ and then denies it because he doesn't like it or she doesn't like it, versus a person who's just doing their best and doesn't have, Platonic and Aristotelian categories to make differentiations between nature and personhood and all that stuff. I don't know if that answers your question. Who are we doing? We're talking about...
Well, I'm still waiting for him to email us.
Unitarianism is the feather bed to catch a falling Christian. That's a very interesting line. Just got here. What's up, Crush? Good to see you, buddy.
Oh, Andrew Martinez just joined us
On Patreon?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Andrew Martinez.
I think he was just in here like a little bit ago.
No, I believe Christ is very real.
Tyler, you gotta email us, vinandsori@gmail.com.
You got to email us, Tyler Lozano. I'm not going to post my phone number out here.
Weirdo.
You guys ever take psychedelics? No.
No. Thoughts on praying for someone who doesn't want you to pray for them. Is that a personal violation? I mean, I don't think you should go throw your hands on them if they tell you not to, but I don't think it's a personal violation to pray for somebody. They don't want you to.
No, but
sometimes we don't know what's best for us, and sometimes people don't know what's best for them.
Yeah, but I do think it's very jerky if the person says, "No, I don't want your prayers," to say, "Well, I'm going to pray for you anyway." I think that's
I've seen
really
it
jerky.
so many times.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When I was in Bible college, we used to go out and you'd have to, talk to people. It's kind of whatever. But anyway, 1-800 Vin Sori. Anyway, so when we were out there, like somebody was like, "I don't want to talk to you about your God," and then they were like, "Oh, we'll pray for you," and I was like, "I don't think that's the way you should say that."
No, Forbes, I've never been a stoner at any point in my life. We were in situations in high school that when you're around where I'm, like, that's kind of like a myth. Like in the hood, in your normal like life, people didn't walk around high a lot because you're always in a sense of hypervigilance that somebody's coming after you. Jesus. Now, when you went to a party or you knew that you were in a safe area, you'd see people break it out. But like in like day to day, every day, whatever, a lot of us didn't feel safe enough to even go in that direction. And then when you combine that with like the paranoia that happens a lot with weed, it sometimes wasn't. I mean, I remember I had a friend who was a disaster because when you combine the hypervigilance that we were all dealing with paranoia, it was just absolutely crazy. So, no, I was never. And I was always like the de facto, what do you call that, designated driver, even though we're on the train all the time. So, we'd go to raves. We'd go to Manhattan, go to raves, and somebody be doing ecstasy here and coke over here and all this, and I'd have to kind of be the whatever. So, if circumstances were different, would I have been? I don't know. That's actually a question I can't answer.
Tyler. This is Sori. All right.
Hey, who's this?
Okay, I'm here.
Hey, so are you the anarchist?
Well, I'm a minarchist, which is very similar.
Okay, so let it fly. Tell me what it is.
Okay. So anarchy is, on a very basic sense, the belief that we do not need a state to look over us. That we can basically handle ourselves.
Okay.
There are two main paths to anarchy, anarcho-capitalism and anarcho-communism. But when you think about it, anarcho-communism really wouldn't be anarchy because you would need some sort of state to delegate the communism part.
Right.
And so basically if you have total anarchy, it'll come down to human nature, which is to create some form of capital, which is capitalism.
Okay.
And but in my experience, if you were to take away the state completely, it wouldn't last very long. It's in history too. If you were to create a completely anarchic state, some type of warlord or something would take power and create its own state.
Right.
So anarchy is just no state, no government, pretty much what they want.
And what are you?
Minarchist. That's it's so for me, I realize that we do need some form of state, but I would want to minimalize it to a point to where we're ultimately free. So like
how's that different from libertarianism?
It's actually very similar. Libertarianism is usually a bit more onto the state power, but it is extremely similar. Minarchists, a lot of minarchists are part of the Libertarian Party, which is what I'm part of. And I would say 1776 America, but even less than that, really, would be a minarchic society.
Okay. So from your definition of anarchy, it seems to be an impossible... It seems like an impossible pipe dream due to human nature.
Pretty much, because somebody's going to take control, somebody's going to take power. But, yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
All right, that makes sense. I wonder if... Have you ever ran into an anarchist that says, no, we can have the pure anarchy is sustainable?
Yeah, I actually know several of them that say that.
On what basis?
The basic idea behind that is the free market. Basically, we would create some form of security systems and other things like that, and private courts through the free market.
Private courts
is a kind of complicated way of saying we create our own state.
That's still state. I mean, if you have courts,
Yeah.
you have judges, right?
Yes. And it's anarchy on its core wouldn't last. It might last a little bit, but then it would collapse. Just like a true communist state wouldn't last, it would collapse.
I feel like a true communist state has a better chance of lasting.
Kind of.
Than,
but, okay. Do you know what true communism is?
Well, that's where you have everybody's kind of like on complete egalitarian footing.
Yes. Well, true communism was basically described as everybody has an equal footing, everybody has equal power,
right,
and nobody would ever be above anybody.
Right.
But that doesn't... There's nobody then to make laws, nobody to enforce laws, and nobody to
the animal
basically
farm.
Be at that level.
I mean, I just think... Yeah, I'm kind of agree with... No, I definitely agree with Jordan Peterson where hierarchy is inevitable.
Yes.
So...
And minarchists see that. That's what minarchists actually do. They tend to make sure that the people that are on top don't have enough power to abuse the people that are below. And it's kind of a checks and balances thing.
Okay, so we pretty much... So, you know... So, it seems like you're just like a very like far left libertarian, man.
I mean, I'm not far left at all. I'm more of a right libertarian.
Well, just a far something libertarian. It doesn't seem like you're like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in a basic sense, yes, it is more of an extreme version of libertarianism.
Yeah.
But that's minarchy. Anarchy is to the extreme. It's just, yeah, basically that.
Okay. Cool, man. Thank you for the breakdown.
All right. You're welcome.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Do I play Zelda? I used to play Zelda. Anarchy is basically extremism. Yeah, I mean, I just don't see how that works with human nature.
Is our email lowercase? Does it matter? I don't think it matters, right?
Zelda was my jam. Have you seen or played Agony? No.
You guys might want to consider getting an internet-based phone number for security.
Yeah, I'm surprised all these people want to talk to me. Like on the phone.
He doesn't get it, guys.
I actually had a Seven Dust song lined up. Did you remember this? I was like Seven Dust, and then
What
there
happened?
was, I forgot, there was something we owed somebody a review or something. And,
So it got
whatever.
bumped.
Yeah.
Babe, I want to take my walk soon.
You guys are intelligent. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Alan Thompson. Read some of the works of Emma Goldman to learn what... Okay,
So
I
this
got to remember
Linda
that.
person said this quote that said, heroin gave me wings, but it took away the sky.
Whew.
Isn't that... What? Apparently they wrote
That's
that...
deep.
Yeah. There's a
Golly.
band called... Velvet?
Velvet Underground?
I thought... Well, I didn't know if I put Underground because the Underground...
Velvet Underground is the
That
name
is
of
the band name. Okay. And the name of the song is called Heroin, and I guess they posted that underneath. I was like, I want to hear that song. And somebody said that they would consider it Did they say psychedelic rock? I don't know. I don't know, but I thought that sounds... I really want to review that.
That's a brilliant
Isn't
line.
that?
When is the Enema review? So we need to do a we need to do a vote. We need to put it up on the Village. It's basically between Enema from Tool and then The Wall from Floyd.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll put that up and then
Heroin is so good it will ruin your life. Wait, the song, or are we talking about the drug here?
y'all promised Carnival. What happened? I love Carnival. I would love to do Carnival, but people keep doing stuff.
People keep doing what?
Drugs are bad. Go straight edge. Good. Yeah, so the thing about The Wall is we're going to watch the movie we've got this thing called Ring Central.
Look, Justin said he's big on self-awareness because of you, Vin. Anyway, sorry. Distractions. I thought that was cool, though.
Rock and roll, brother. So with The Wall, we're going to... I'm going to kind of just mention it anyway. Okay, so here's my plan. I think we figured out, and this is because of the interview with OTAP.
Leak the plan.
We're going to leak the plan.
Yeah.
We'll shoot an update video.
Okay.
So Ring Central gets us, what, 50?
50 or 100, I'm not really sure.
We'll check. Ring Central gets us 100 video guests. So, like, it's like this. But what we can do is we can share our screen. And so we were thinking of watching Dogma with, like, 100 people. Now, that would suck because we have to give, like, 100 emails out at the same time.
No, it's going to be very... Well...
That's how it works.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Well, I would have just taken, put something out.
We'll find a way to do
figure out
it.
a way.
We'll find a way to do it. But
that's for patrons.
Right. So basically, like, we would, the 50, 75, 25, like all the way up to, all those folks will get priority because there's a less number of them. Like there's
Right.
Alec and a couple other people and the higher tiers and then whatever. But then we have 100 spots, right? So we have 180 patrons right now. But anyway, long story short, we have and I might, depending on how it goes, I might buy a bigger package so that more people can come. But it's basically, we'd be able to watch it with you guys live.
Yeah, I might have an idea of how we can do it without even using Ring Central.
Really?
I think. I don't know. We're going to think of a few things, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So that's one. Like we want to have a movie night, which is kind of presumptuous. Oh, people are going to want to watch a movie with us, but anyway.
I don't think it's
We're
presumptuous.
going to have a movie night, and then afterward, we're all going to talk about the movie we just watched. So that's one. And then two is, you know what? We really need to check out Discord because I guess people are saying, hey, Ghost Incorporated.
I like Maleficent. They also, our top 5 movies are. Maleficent is really right up there on the list for me.
Vin and Sori, though, both possess splendiferous sanctus spiritus and omniscient perspicuity theology.
Oh, yeah. It's
'Cause,
going to go up for review after. After we do it with everybody, then we'll put it out for everybody else. But if you want the actual experience with us, then you have to be a patron for that.
I'd watch a movie with y'all. Blah 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 blah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, there's 180 patrons. If only like 20 of them say they want to come, then I just open it up to everybody. You know what I mean?
Why would you do that? Maybe they want to just have just a few of them. I feel like that you have to ask them what they think of that first.
Can the movie be John Wick? And we still need to watch Hellraiser 2. That's also true. Are you really comparing to it with Pink Floyd? I'm assuming that this person's a Pink Floyd fan and saying you can't be serious, but I think
you can't compare. I don't think you can compare them either.
I'm not comparing them, but
right.
I think they're both great.
Yes,
they
are, but they're completely different.
I wouldn't say that Pink Floyd is like eons above. Like, do you think that vocalist is better than Maynard? I don't.
No, I don't either.
Okay, so I think from as far as instrumentation goes, I think they're light years ahead of Tool.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that the guys in Tool are very limited instrumentally, in my opinion, except for the drummer. Like, compared to Floyd, I think that they're limited.
I see. Okay, fair enough.
That's a good point. It's 180 patrons around the world. A lot of people will be sleeping.
Or working.
That's true.
Fucking finally! One of the comments of I don't know which song.
Oh, that's probably the Dissection song.
People are hilarious.
That's a weird thing to say, Vin. What's a weird thing to say? Yeah, K-Pax. I watched half of K-Pax when I was a kid and never really was able to finish it. So, yeah, so I think there are a couple movies that, like, we could all watch together and then, like, have a discussion like this on. And Dogma was suggested. I think that's a pretty accessible one that's going to make you think. And then K-Pax and then The Man from Earth. So that's my plan, is, like, for us all to be able to watch movies together. And then The Wall comes with a movie. And so my plan was to do the live listen session and then do The Wall. God almighty, it's like 4 hours, these poor people. But if we did the live listen session and then The Wall, we'd be able to do that together too. So there you go.
Sleep is for the weak. You spelt weak wrong, but we got the idea. And that's
all right,
how
Tasco.
Vin feels.
Sleep is for the weak. You should watch Westworld. A lot of people have said Westworld. Watch some old Twilight Zone episodes.
All right, babe. I'm
we're
ready.
We're at a 10 minute. What do you think is the best corn record? Follow the Leader is my favorite one because it's the first one I listened to. And then
I'll just start eating my Snickers.
Issues, probably.
I like Sleep too.
Oh, that's interesting. Some 80s Reagan era hardcore. Who would that be? Gnostic Christianity thoughts. I don't think Gnosticism is Christianity.
Alec.
That
would be hilarious.
You're officially out of the village. I don't like you anymore. You're a terrible human being. What a terrible person. I think Iowa is a very emotional Slipknot album for me. There's so many things that happened in my life during Iowa. I look at Iowa, when I think about it, with a lot of like nostalgia / pain. So Iowa is a very, very important record to me.
Seriously, I keep telling you guys this. I don't know what the heck is wrong with our fire thing, whatever, smoke detector. I changed the batteries. 2 days later, it's beeping again. And I got cheap batteries. So the next time, I got Energizer batteries. Same deal.
Zed, what's his name? Jesus said that Untouchables was his favorite Korn record. Mm-hmm. I think Untouchables was the most underrated Korn record.
If you want to know, this is email. If you want to know more about music and genre in general, you should check the map of metal. It's perfect to know where it comes from. What? That's interesting. It's broke. Replace it. We live in an apartment. We can't replace shit here. We can call them, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Corn sucks. How dare you? How dare you say corn sucks?
Yeah, it's plugged into the ceiling. So I didn't see how it would need a battery if it looks like it's already connected to electricity.
We got to do Gorgoroth in the next Blackfire. Apparently that Dissection song was a Blackfire show, babe. Did I tell you that?
Which one? Dissection?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, shoot. I never changed the thing to be Blackfire for tomorrow's Ghost.
I don't think Ghost is Blackfire.
You told me it was.
I don't know. Corey was an absolute monster on that record, and I cannot express that enough. He unleashes full vocal potential, which is interesting because he can't remember most of the album. Yeah, you're talking about Iowa? Dirk, for sure.
Garrett, what's up?
I went through a Shadows, not Shadows Fall, but Kill Switch.
Here, Mandy, you can have it. There's 2 in here, 1 to share.
Kill Switch, As I Lay Dying, Lamb of God. I went through stages with all those where I just listened to those guys nonstops for a month apiece. What's up, Dirk? Dirk, you're one of my guys, man. I love you, man. Every time Dirk has a comment, it's always he's smart as hell. We got some smart people in the village. I'll tell you what.
Look, yeah.
But there's a couple people I look for, and Dirk is one of them.
You love smart people.
Replace the ceiling. Well,
I know. That's what I said when you said we have some smart people.
Dirk, Zeus, Ben Webb, KZ. Those are usually the people that insult me. Mm-hmm. But then Dirk.
Who's the Globe guy? He makes me laugh.
I wish we found. Does anybody know the real identity of the Globe guy?
Did you see that post that I sent to you where somebody said, "Sorry, the heaviest matter in the universe"?
Yeah. As you eat your Snicker bar. You eat your Snicker bar. Amon Amarth. Yeah, we got to get back to those guys too.
No, Dirk. Oh, here's Dirk.
No, that's Dirk. Him? Yeah, I was saying you're one of my guys. I look for your comments all the time.
I do, because sometimes
they're funny. Hasn't it been a while since you've done the Underground show? We do an Underground show every day.
What the hell are you talking about? There's literally one every day.
I think... shout out to the big homie Tyler Lozano. Appreciate you, buddy. Have you actually listened to that album, Behemoth Dark?
Garrett, we just put out a Behemoth song.
And we got criticized pretty hardcore for it. Although we do need to do Gorgoroth or Gargoth. I don't know how to enunciate it, but we do need to do that for sure.
Vin, you need to go to the gym. Finally!
Daniel Johnstone, my opinion on the situation literally hasn't changed 1 inch at all.
Hey, Tyler.
I just said shout out to the big homie.
Oh.
Gorgoroth. Carving the Giant is the one that
I'm not one of those people Vin looks for. I'm annoying.
Who said that?
This one. X24, I don't know. Blah 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 X24.
No, nobody's annoying.
I just thought it was funny that he said that.
Okay, Leah, next time we'll talk politics. Okay? So the last 2 weeks for my atheist homies.
Tyler said he'll make a workout program for you, Vin.
Appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, okay, so Carving the Giant has to be the next Blackfire because everybody's talking about it. And we do need to do more Blackfire.
Yeah.
Shout out to the big homie, Andrew Martinez. All right, we got 1 minute left. Vin and Sori, have you thought about creating a poll on your website for songs to review? Yes, we do have that. And Nexus Media is the guy. What do you mean you applaud Sori for her self-control? Where is this self-control? Is it under my phone? Where is the self-control?
Yeah, which aspect do I... I do exercise self-control, but you just have no clue. Don't look at me like that.
Okay. Back to Batushka. Dang it.
Get that ADD kicking in sometimes.
I got a whole damn list on black metal recommendations. Protest to Hero, C'est La Vie.
Walk tonight or drive. I win. Walk.
We're walking. We walk almost every night. I was attacked yesterday by some terrible monster so I wasn't able to walk yesterday. But yeah, we pretty much. I wasn't even talking. I was like, why is she acting like that? And I'm like, oh my God, you're the worst.
Oh.
Zeus, Animals as Leaders is coming, but not soon. I don't want to say soon
He said,
anymore.
be quiet and drive. Isn't there a song that says shut up and drive?
No, it's not Shut Up and Drive. It's Be Quiet and Drive.
No, there is a song I think that says shut up and drive.
No, there's a Deftones song called Be Quiet and Drive.
Yeah, but I think I've heard one that says shut up and
I'm
drive.
sure. Hold on. Leah, LTG Leah, what are we talking about with politics? Peace out, Pantera. Much love, big guy. Sonata Arctica. You know, I had a friend, and this is funny. He identified as a Nazi, but he loved me. And he'd always take these, like, his MySpace pictures with his M4s and shit.
Oh, Lord.
And he was a real dark guy. I mean, he's one of those people that, like, you know, if the place got shot up, you'd say, oh, it's this motherfucker. But anyway, he was actually the one that introduced me to the Gazette, that Japanese band. He used to come in my office all the time and talk to me. But anyway, Sonata Arctica.
Is that what it is? It's Rihanna? I knew there was one.
I've heard of them.
I knew there was a shut up and drive song. Thank you very much.
I talked to Lindsay from Cradle, right? I talk to her almost every day, and I asked her, because it was her birthday, or something happened with her apartment or something. I said, okay, any song you want, I'll review it. And she goes, oh, great. And then she picks that Demo Bajir song or whatever it is that nobody liked. I'm like, I was sure she was going to pick a Cradle of Filth song, but maybe she didn't want to.
No, she's probably all cradled out. You know, it's your own thing.
Any idea when you'll be posting the Walverse Enema poll? I will probably shoot a video on it, and then we'll do like first to 100 or something like that. Whoa, Steve Jackson.
Whoa.
Love you, big guy. Whoever you are.
Thank you very
Appreciate you.
much. Okay.
I did not see that coming.
What? Okay.
I didn't think it was a good song, Kilandros. I didn't think it was a good song at all.
This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep disappearing until I'm out of the frame.
Yeah, okay, so the next show we'll do politics. Let's not get mad at each other. For discussion on religion. Not yet, but to be honest with you, I completely forgot about Francesca, so thank you for reminding me, K2. Alright, guys. Oh, Soulfly. Yes, we already picked Kafo. I'm looking at it right now on the board. Animals as Leaders, Kafo. You have that misspelled, though, babe. You have it C-O-F-O. It's C-A-F-O.
Not important.
If you guys are on the YouTube community page, you can roll. Zork, do me a favor and email me. Pretty sure after listening to Deftones, so he wants to go for a drive. See, you were like as subtle as an atomic bomb. Good Lord.
Whatever.
All right, guys. I love y'all. For real. Thank you to everybody that called in and had a good discussion with us. Alec, thank you very much for calling in, my brother. Thank you for all the new patrons. You guys are amazing. Unbelievable. Keep in mind, so I just wrote chapter 2 to that story. And Pony, we got to get your guy on for some back and forth tomorrow too. So I just wrote chapter 2 to that story. You didn't read my story. So right after this, I want you to read it, okay? Okay? Are you listening to me? Okay, she's mad at me, so she's not going to read my story.
I'll read your damn story. Hang up, though. I want to be done. Come on.
Okay.
And people want to know where they can follow us. Facebook?
What do you mean?
The Village? What do we say?
How do they know? Of course they know to find us.
They want to follow us on
Facebook. Facebook.com/Vin and Sori is how you follow us. Okay, Kathy, I will make a note of that. Fear Factory. True. Okay, I gotta go because I want to stay married. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. That's not
what you want. I know what you want.
No, it's been 2 hours
Oh, I know it's been 2 hours.
So, thank you guys. Much love.
Love you guys.
You're never going to get over that Deftones review. They're like, Sori wants to be your passenger.
I do.
Hey, be quiet. I haven't ended the thing yet.
Oh, I was about to say more.
Yeah, make sure you maintain some dignity here, huh?